Houston, we have a problem. We cannot find our IRP. I'm Ann Lauricello, and I'm here with Mitch and Ray, and we are talking about this. First, guys, though, what is an IRP?
An IRP stands for Incident Response Program, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. A program to help you respond to a cybersecurity incident. And let me tell you what, Houston, you will have a problem if you have an incident, a breach on your network or your IT infrastructure, and if you've not done the planning necessary in order to respond in an orderly fashion. It is critical. You cannot be running around with your hair on fire looking for help when you've got that kind of a problem. Now, an IRP, an Incident Response Program, has various components and has various values. I will turn the conversation over to my co-pilot here, Mitch Tannenbaum.
So the first thing you want to know is what's going on. You want to collect information. That's the first part of responding to an incident. So let's just take a step back. An incident is when you detect something is amiss and you don't know whether it's a breach, whether somebody's stolen stuff, now sometimes when you have an incident like when the system stopped working, you know there's a problem. But for the most part, you're talking about, maybe someone stole some data or maybe they didn't, I don't know yet. So the first thing is collecting the information. You want to go off and try to gather as much information as you can very quickly, and then you want to bring together your IRP leadership team to go off and say, okay, what is the next step? Do we think this is a compromise? Do we think we need to bring in forensics experts? What do we need to do? So the second step is going to be convene a very narrowly focused group and be able to then go off and make some decisions. I'll give you a couple of examples. Everybody remembers the Sony attack from a few years ago where the North Koreans went off and totally demolished the company, right? Well, what people don't know as much is the Sands casino chain got hit with the same attack about 6 months earlier. The difference between the Sands and Sony, and literally this is probably the only difference, is the Sands had a very effective incident response program in place. They had a team, they had processes, they had instruction, and they had people who were empowered to go off and act. So when the Sands got attacked, the head of the incident response team was able to make a decision. And this is huge. They were able to make a decision that they were going to disconnect the casino and entertainment chain from the internet. They didn't need to convene a board meeting. They didn't need to go find the CEO. They were empowered. Sheldon Adelson, who owns Sands, made the decision that he was going to empower his incident response team to be able to make those very hard decisions very quickly. And the net effect of that was that the amount of damage that the attack did was dramatically less than the amount of damage that happened at Sony. So having an incident response program, having a team doing what we call tabletop exercises, where you map through what might happen and what the response is going to be on a regular basis, are critical components of an incident response program. Because what you want to do is you want to mitigate the damage, you want to go off and figure out what the attackers got, and you got to figure out what it is you're going to do to respond.
So those are two huge companies. Does it still apply to small companies as well?
It applies to all companies. For smaller companies, you don't need as many procedures, you don't need as many processes in place, but you need the ability to respond to an incident, to a breach. And that's what we do. We help you as part of our practice. That's what we do at Cybersecurity LLC.
But going back to your question, Ann, what's really important is, the Sands can afford to spend $500 million to go off and recover from that. If you're a small business and it costs you $100,000 to recover from it,
you could be gone.
You could be gone.
Yeah.
And we do see in the numbers, we see numbers all over the place, but I think a reasonable number that is believable is about 20% of the companies that experience a significant cybersecurity breach go out of business.
Oh, wow.
It's a big number because it doesn't take much. We've seen, for example, recently in the real estate industry, a company that got hit with a cyber attack and they lost all the data. their customers started fleeing. You know, well, if you don't have any customers anymore, you don't have any business, right? If you get hit by lawsuits, are you going to be able to defend yourself? We'll talk about cybersecurity insurance, which is something, and another segment, which is something which helps with that. But are you going to be able to defend yourself? You know, if your executive team is distracted for years dealing with litigation and dealing with the after effects of an event, you know, are you going to miss the boat? And we saw a big company like Microsoft where they were being investigated, it wasn't a cyber breach, but being investigated by the Justice Department for antitrust, right? They lost their eye off the ball of what their core business was, which is the thing that has the Googles and the Facebooks be able to go off and really build themselves as a business unattacked by any other company. So if you have a cyber attack and you don't have a plan and you're not able to respond effectively, then the ultimate potential risk there is you're no longer in business.
So Houston, we no longer have a problem because we have an IRP, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So if you'd like more information on how to protect yourself, visit the YouTube channel or go to cybersecurity.com. And take note, security is spelled with a C.